What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The David Lopez Show, presented by Passion Park ENT. I want to start by wishing everybody a happy New Year's, as this is the last episode of a dreadful 2020. I don't want to say dreadful, but obviously not the best year. You know, we all found the positives that we could find, but it was a tough year for everybody, and we are moving on to a new one with 2021. I am recording this the day before New Year's Eve, so this will be coming out, probably right in the morning of New Year's Eve. It's an exciting time, the holidays are always an exciting time, so I hope everybody had a good, however you get to spend it. I hope you had a good time, whether it was with family, whether it was, by yourself, which I know a lot of people had to switch it up and wasn't as eventful for the holidays this year as normal. I just hope you got to find some silver linings and enjoy it. Possibly, I'm assuming a lot of people were on Zooms. So there's a couple things I want to talk about with Zooms and some of those issues that can present. But before we get into all that, I got a fun episode. This is the last week of the regular season for the NFL. So we're doing our picks. This will be the last week of the regular season, and then we're gonna get into some NBA talk. Our real NBA preview episode, I wanted to do, where we do the award, where we do our predictions and awards and whatnot. I'm gonna do that next year, or it will be next year actually. Next week will be our NBA show. I'm scheduling with KT right now, so we're gonna do that together and make some NBA predictions and whatnot. And it kind of lines up really nice. The end of the NFL season, and then we start right away with the NBA podcast. We'll still talk about the NFL playoffs as we get into that as well. But before that stuff, I gotta say, news-wise, I usually do our announcements up top. I got a brand new song coming out, and I am pumped about it. I am seriously, I haven't released a song since July, so I just have some of those feelings back about releasing a shit, or I'm not butterflies, it's not like that. Hoping people like it, whatever it is. I'm just excited. I'm just straight up excited to release music. So with all that said, My Biz, my brand new single produced by AMG Sounds, will be out midnight Eastern on New Year's Eve. It comes out technically January 1st. So, the first day of 2021, I wanted to drop some brand new music. Also lined up that it was a Friday. Usually you release music on Fridays and whatnot. So everything lined up with that. So it'll be available midnight Eastern on New Year's Eve. And then New Year's Day, music video is dropping at noon. So I'm going to drop the trailer today on my social media. This is the first announcement of that right now. Is the music video will be out at noon on New Year's Day. Super excited. It looks awesome. Shout out to my boy Domrod, who shot the video. I edited it, and we just, we put it together, and we're going to be shooting a lot more stuff. So I'm really excited for that going forward. You can go to www.thedavidlopez.com. That's my website. You can find all of my music on there. All my new songs that'll be coming out every Friday will be available on there to purchase just directly. So not even worrying about the streaming services. And then, all my music videos, podcasts, everything's on there. And then also you can go to www.passionparkent.com. You will see right on the front of that page, it says new this week. And that is where we update every single week, all of our new videos. And it's pretty much, we got 4 to 5 new things coming out every week. And with that said, I want to just briefly highlight the one thing we had come out this week, as we do every Monday morning, the Passion Park Experience. That is my other podcast. It takes highlights from interviews that I've done, and then we play music in it as well. It's only available on Spotify, as the songs come straight up from Spotify. I've been having a blast doing these episodes. I have a bunch more recorded. They'll be, like I said, every single Monday morning is my plan for the Passion Park Experience. Kind of like a 30 to 40 minute radio show. You get to hear some new jams. And like I said, some highlights from interviews. This week was Benny the Jet, who was on this show, the David Lopez show, a couple months ago. It was during the quarantine in the beginning. And so I took some highlights from that interview, broke it down, played some of his songs, played some of mine. But this next episode next week, so that'll be January 5th, right? Yeah. 4th, I'm sorry. Monday, January 4th, that episode that's coming out, I'm super excited about, so I hope you guys enjoy it, because it's essentially why I started the show. I talk about it on there, but it's essentially why I started the show. I wanted to just be able to almost do a radio show where I'm playing a bunch of music. So I wanted to obviously do the interview stuff, but also I wanted to have episodes where I just play artists that have submitted their songs, or just my friends, the music that I want to play. So I'm calling it In the Mix. So In the Mix number 1 is happening next week. So it's just basically a playlist of artists that have been on the show, artists that have submitted, artists that I know, just a compilation of some good music. So I think it's a great episode. And I also break down how I made, or I just break down a little bit about my biz and whatnot. So yeah, make sure you check that out. I also have another video coming out next week. I'll talk about that, but I'll just say it, whatever. Lyric Talk is going to break down every single bar of the songs that I have that are coming out. So on Tuesday, song comes out Friday, and then on Tuesday on our YouTube channel, there'll be an episode of Lyric Talk based on my biz. And then the following weeks, I got a couple of those recorded ahead of time. So basically it'll be Passion Park Experience Monday, Lyric Talk Tuesday, Wednesday, usually an interview episode of this podcast. Thursday, usually a sports episode of this podcast. Friday, live from the home stew or a music video or a song, whatever that week is, but Friday is usually music-based. So that is pretty much the schedule that I really wanted to have going forward. It took me a couple months to really set it, plan it, and get it in motion, and I think we're there. So I'm excited about it. So yeah, most importantly, just check out my new single, My Biz. Happy New Year's. Let's get into the episode.
David Lopez is the name. It's my show. Welcome to it. It's my show.
Oh yeah. All right, so I said right off the bat I wanted to talk about some Zoom issues. It's because, real reason I wanted to say that is because I was on a fun Zoom last night with a bunch of people. And the bigger the crowd for the Zoom, the more important it is to be polite with your Zoom manners, with your, you know what I mean? Everybody knows there's been SNL skits about how it can get there's been Family Guy clips where it's you're waiting for the delay, you're trying to talk, then the next person talks, and then so you're just talking over each other, and these things get annoying, confusing, and it's whatever. I've heard so many people with similar things that happen when they're on the Zoom with the family members. Obviously, just figuring out technology is tough. So some older people, it's harder, although a lot of people have really figured out the rhythm of it. What I find most fascinating, the only point that I actually really want to bring up on these Zooms, because it's been touched on, all the awkward topics. The only point I want to bring out, which is so funny, is I know that not everybody's a great conversationalist, right? I'm aware that not everybody is great at saying how you doing and then asking back how you doing or whatever. I know that everybody's not great at asking questions back and being interesting in conversation. That's understood, all right? But what's amazing is it feels like in Zooms in general, the manners of general conversations are gone. So somebody asks one specific person a question, you're waiting in there's that minute, right? Somebody asks that person the question, they say their name, and then there's that 30-second to a minute pause where that's an exaggeration, but there's a little bit of pause where you're waiting for that person to answer. And then that person's gearing up to give their response. They're like, oh, everybody's quiet. They're really going to let me answer. And then they're about to give their answer. They're like, this is my time to shine. Okay, so I've been great. Okay, what'd you say? It never, as soon as that person talks, then 4 other people talk. What I've found amazing, and I've, like I said, I've talked to other people. It seems like people are forgetting that when you ask one person a question, you're supposed to let that person answer the question before other people start talking and the moments die out. That was my experience this past week. I thought it was like I said, we had a fun time, but so many specific times where you're trying to talk to one person or you're just trying to find out an answer from one person, then somebody talks over them and then you could tell that person looks despondent, oh, didn't get my chance, or whatever. It's so awkward. What I was going to liken it to, which it reminded me of, is I think the way to make big group Zooms work is first of all, people got to be aware of the mute button. If you're going to chill and talk and just listen to people, just hit the mute button. You're good. You won't mess with the audio, then you're good. But I think you got to treat it like show and tell time for children, where each person gets their time and it's just their time to talk, and then you let them go and then you go after. You can't have a first take style debate on Zoom. It just doesn't work well. Even when I'm doing these interviews with artists, I find it happen all the time, and that's only 2 people where we're trying to we're trying to link up in the energy of the conversation. It just isn't quite where it needs to be as far as the rhythm of the conversation. It's a little bit off with Zoom or any technology, FaceTime as well. It's just a little off, the timing is. So, whatever. Nonetheless, it's wonderful that we've had this technology because I got to see people that I haven't seen in such a long time via Zoom. So I just wanted to share my little experience with the Zoom frustrations, like and then all the young people are in the chat box on the side, like, wow, this is chaos. What is going on here? The old people are yelling at each other. But shout out to Zoom and shout out to Zoom for letting us go over the 40-minute time limit for the holidays. So shout out to them and shout out to everybody who had to see family and friends in a new way. So I hope you had some fun Zoom experiences. I don't know. All right, let's move into some sports stuff, guys. Yeah, this was the first. So last week I gave my like realistic Bulls hopes. Like I was just like, I'm excited. I'm an excited fan. I want them to be good. We got a new era, Billy Donovan, but I was like, I took the under on the 30 for wins for the season. I'm not very optimistic. Whatever. Trying to be realistic about it. Now I'm recording this after the Bulls finally got their first win of the season last night against the Wizards. Well, I think it's a good starting point that I made that assertion last week that said that we should have realistic Bulls hopes rather than saying we're going to go 40-32 and make the playoffs as a 5 seed. Because they started off 0-3 and looked like one of the worst defensive teams. It just looked really bad. So not a good start. Now the NBA this is 72, not 82 games. So it's more condensed, but it's a long season. These up and downs are so, they're so drastic, like it's hard to even predict really how the season's going to go. I'd say you got to give it 10 games. After 5 is kind of tough, you let them get a little groove. Plus they only had 4 preseason games. So I'm not trying to read overly into those first 3 losses that were just, rough. Really the first 2 were rough. The third game was a rough loss, but they played much better against the Warriors. I mean, the Warriors aren't great, but still the Bulls played better. Should have won that game. Damian Lee it's a tough shot. Look, like I don't think the Bulls made a bad play on that. They switched off Steph. Damian Lee got it, or they doubled Steph, so you had to give it up. And Damian Lee makes a tough shot. That's going to happen in the NBA. It was a tough loss when you're watching and you want the Bulls to get their first win, and you're like, fuck. But like, good for him, Damian Lee, who's Steph's brother-in-law. So there's a weird family connection there, but it was cool. And then seeing some of the social media posts after. So everybody was happy for him. But, as a Bulls fan, I would have liked if we could have got a W there. But anyways, nonetheless, we're 1-3 now. I'm still sticking with where I'm at with the realistic Bulls hopes. Obviously, like I just said, I can't make if I'm going to change that prediction or anything, it's going to come after these first 10 games. I'm going to watch some of that, and then I'm going to look at them, and maybe I'll reassess it. Maybe next week when I'm talking to KT about the league and about some of the stuff we want to talk about, maybe I'll already have a different thought from watching a couple more Bulls games. Last night, at least I got to watch like a fair amount of that game. I think Kobe White looks like he's improved a little bit. Lowry, last night was like the most aggressive and best I've seen him play. The Wizards aren't very good. Westbrook has 3 triple-doubles in the first 3 games, and they're 0-3. I guess I'm just saying, if I'm a Wizards fan, I don't know if that's a good sign. Like, he's got Scotty Brooks as his coach again. He's just going to let him run the show. I mean, I don't know. I never thought the Wizards were going to be great anyways. I think I said they're going to be a 5, maybe 6 seed after they made that Russ deal. I still would have made that deal if I'm them, though. You move on from the John Wall era, so I get it. So some quick things I want to touch on. Before, I don't want to get too much into it because next week we're going to make all our predictions, do all that stuff. Well, also about that watching the Wizards game a little bit, that Denny Avdija, the Israeli guard who I was talking about pre-draft, and I kind of wanted the Bulls to get him, does look like he's going to be a good player. Now, Patrick Williams looks like he's pretty solid as well, and I like him from what I've seen. He just doesn't stand out too much when you're watching him, but still, he's a rookie, and he's making, quick, good decisions. I'm okay with, I think he's going to be a good NBA player. He'll be around. But I do think that Denny cat looks like he's going to be a good ball player, and I don't know. I kind of wanted him, but I'm, whatever. I'm trusting AK, trusting Billy Donovan, trusting Patrick Williams will really pan out. But some quick, just early trends I want to talk about. I mean, last night on TNT, both the games were like 40-point blowouts, and there was several other blowouts. There's been a lot of blowouts. I mean, the Clippers were losing to the Mavericks 77-27 at halftime on Sunday. What? It's an NBA record. 50 points to be down by at half is crazy. It was an afternoon game. And a lot of times there is blowouts in afternoon games, but not for the reasons that we're talking about now. Usually what they've talked about is like the South Beach game. So if you play an afternoon game in Miami, the Heat always win. You got to bet on the Heat there because they chalk that win up to South Beach because the players come into town. They go out on South Beach the night before. All the places are open late. Then they're all groggy for this noon game the next day. This year, none of the players can go out when they go to these cities. I mean, they're like cooped up in the hotel and ready to go hoop. So like a lot of the away teams might have more focus sometime with these day games or just in general on the road. Whereas the home teams, you're at home. You can, there's more distractions. So I thought that was a little, I don't remember who I heard bring it up. I know my brother told it to me, but we were talking about that. Like, that's interesting because usually there's no NBA team in Vegas, but hypothetically speaking, if there's an NBA team in Vegas, you would always bet against the road team if they're coming in for a one-nighter. I mean, those guys are going out. That's just how it's going. This year, not so much. Unless you're James Harden, which, just real briefly, he's still balling. Definitely looks pudgy like we were saying, but he's still balling. I mean, the dude went to the strip club and then came back, came to the game, and had 44 points and 17 assists or whatever the hell he had. He just is a good basketball player. But yeah, so the trends we were saying about the blowouts, it does seem like there's been a lot of blowouts. A lot of people are already sitting out games. I know last night on Inside the NBA, Charles Barkley was, he's always got something angry to say about. But and I love Charles. I love whatever. I enjoy watching Inside the NBA. I really do. Last night he was talking about how he's like annoyed that all these players are already sitting out. And what Kenny and Shaq were trying to say is like, yeah, but they're playing a condensed season, so you're playing 3 games in 4 nights. There's a lot more back-to-backs than ever. I don't know. I'm kind of with Chuck on this. Like, I get it both ways. Like, we're in the first week of the season. If you weren't in the finals or the conference finals, you haven't played in like 9 months. Like, why are you already taking rest days? I don't know if that's the whole reason there's been so many blowouts, but it just feels like there's been a lot of blowouts. And I just have a guess that at the end of the season, they'll do some stat that says that there were more blowouts this year than on average. You would have to do it percentage-wise because there's less games, but I just have a feeling there's going to be more blowouts this year. So that's like an early NBA trend, I think. I think there's going to be a lot of wide margin victories. And then, that's the main early NBA trend I wanted to talk about. And then the other thing was even in that Clippers-Mavs game where the Clippers are up by, or the Mavs are up by 50, we talked about how Luka's been complaining too much. A lot of these superstars complain a ton. Even in that game, they're up by 50 in the first half, and Luka's complaining to the refs. Not a good look, Luka. We got to get past this. It's just not. That's not the best. But nonetheless, I love that dude's game, and he's a true baller. We'll make our MVP predictions next week on the show with KT, or I'll make mine, and he will as well. And Luka's gonna be in the mix there. So I haven't even really made my prediction, but I'm gonna go in. Maybe study some film. I have my final couple days of League Pass free preview here. I'm going to have to cancel that on Friday and then decide. I have to decide if I'm going to go forward and do the full League Pass experiment or just buy the Bulls package, which is possible. It's just so nice having League Pass. I don't want to buy it and not use it enough, but you go on your phone, you have the NBA app, you just can go through any game. I was just watching, I'll just watch the last 5 minutes of games when they're close. It's really, really awesome. Also, we won my first week of the Fantasy NBA League. So let's go, guys. Let's go. I'll keep you up to date on my Fantasy NBA successes throughout the season. The past 2 nights, I've won my daily fantasy teams, but all I've done is played the fourth quarter of the late game. So I'll watch the game, and then the fourth quarter, what I'll do is I'll reserve a spot early on in the night for the fourth quarter of that game, and then I'll go edit the lineup as the game goes on, and I'll watch it. Last night was a 40-point blowout, and I just switched to campaign and all these guys that were playing in the fourth quarter. There was a blowout and I won. So that's my advice if you're looking for some daily fantasy moves. I like playing the quarter if you're going to actually watch the game. It's kind of fun actually too. All right, let's get into foosball. That's next on the agenda. We're gonna do some foosball. Week 17, baby. And so many games that matter. A lot of times week 17, there's a ton of games that don't fucking matter because everybody's got their playoff spots locked up. But this year, not the case. And obviously, with this being a Chicago-based show and me being such a big Bears fan, this week is massive. Look, I know I've talked about blowing it up. I know I have my parody song right here on my interface that I can turn on for you that talks about how the Bears should blow it up, and if they end up 9-7 and end up keeping pace and Nagy, how it's a nightmare. It's not what we wanted, and this is what's going to happen. By the way, well, maybe not the 9-7 thing, but everything is going to happen. the pace, like what I detailed in the song. It's what, and I'm not. It's not like I predicted some crazy future. A lot of people thought this could happen. They had an easy schedule going down the road. Like 9-7 was a realistic possibility. Frankly, they should have won the Lions game. They should be 9-6 with like a playoff spot pretty much locked up here. So look, I know I've talked about blowing it up. Mitch isn't the answer. All this stuff. All that said, the Bears have played 3 games in a row, scored 30+ points. They're on a winning streak. They have a chance to make the playoffs, and Mitch has looked better. They have made the offense more fitted to him. Montgomery's balling. I told you guys last week, even with all those things I've said, I'm still cheering for them every Sunday. I can't not cheer for them. I was going crazy as they're dominating the Jaguars. Maybe not going crazy. I knew I had a good feeling they were going to play well against the Jaguars, despite that first half debacle. Nice to see them come out and actually play well in the third quarter, score 21 points. That hasn't happened all season. So that was nice. I'm cheering for that. Mitch is playing better. Now, he still did what he did last week. He made a terrible interception throw in the end zone. Just a throw you can't make. And I just that's why I'm watching the game. I'm like, he can't not do it. Mitch can't not do it. Like, you think you're going to have this game where you're like, wow, he's going to change my mind. And then he just does something that reminds you of who he really is. He's got to shore up those decisions. I think I said it, I'm not opposed to Mitch coming back if you don't, we're not spending a bunch of money on him. And he's not in mind, we don't think he is the franchise guy. That being said, I'm not saying that somebody can't grow and in his 8th year is all of a sudden a Pro Bowl quarterback. I'm not saying that can't happen. But from all accounts, from everything we've seen, and maybe Matt, I know Matt Nagy has not done a good enough job, put him in the right positions. He doesn't seem to be a franchise-changing quarterback. You can win some games with him. We've done that. But you also win some games in spite of him. That when you have a good defense, that happens. So let's not go overboard here. But I want to say that I'm cheering for the Bears. What else could you ask for? Bears, Packers, the last game of the season. The Bears need to win and get in the playoffs. And here's the kicker. It was supposed to be the Bears need to win and get in the playoffs, and the Packers aren't even playing for anything because they got the number 1 seed locked up. But they don't. So the Packers are playing for home field advantage. So, what else could you ask for as a football fan or as a Bears fan or a Packers fan? The biggest rivalry in the NFL going into the last week with high stakes. Pretty much a win or go home for the Bears, except we'll talk about how there's a way they can get in without that. The Rams got to win, but we'll get into that when we get into the picks. But this is all you could ask for. So all I'm saying is, why not have fun with it? We were watching a whole season for 3 months, and then you're going to complain towards the end of it because your team sucks and you want them to lose all these games or whatever. Look at the fucking Jets. They're tanking for Trevor Lawrence. Those players don't want to fucking tank. Those players want to win games. They're getting paychecks every week. They have pride, and now they've won 2 in a row, and they're not going to get the number 1 pick. So there's no guarantee that you're even going to get that. Or the Bulls with the year with Luka Doncic, when I was telling us to tank, and then Niko Mirotic goes off on a tangent, goes off on a hot streak, and the Bulls win games. There's no guarantee that the tank works. All that said, I still think we have a lot of holes, a lot of things aren't answered here, but I'm cheering hard this weekend. I might paint my face. Who knows? My wife said we might have to watch the game in different rooms. I might have to go downstairs to the bar area. Said she's gonna lock me down there. We're gonna have to hire a referee for our house. It's a real Bears-Packers weekend. This is all we could ask for. We had a shitty 2020. We had a pandemic. We thought maybe there wouldn't be sports. We got sports, and we got Bears-Packers. That means something. I'm excited. Let's go Bears. Let's get into the Week 17 NFL picks. I think I'm out of breath from that. That was real. All right, I'm going to pull up my picks here. So I just wanted to say it's been another fun year of doing this league. I love doing this league. I don't know, what is this, my 4th year doing it with, shout out to my boy Tim who runs the league. Cause just running any league, whether it be a pick'em league or a fantasy league, I was like, it actually takes work. He has to corral money from people every week. He has to email everybody and put the stats up. So shout out to you, Tim, for doing this. Cause I really, really enjoy it. And, hopefully you, whoever is listening to this show, you can give me any feedback whenever, if you enjoy me, doing my full picks on here. Cause I think I'll probably just do it every year. Why the hell not? The show's not stopping anytime soon, guys. So if you're worried about that, don't be worried about it. The show will continue. But I looked it up before. It says 77% for my picks for the season, and I'm in 5th place out of 12 for my league for the year. So, I mean, I won twice. I'm happy that I won twice because last year I did not. So 2, obviously, out of 16 is not, I don't know. I mean, like I said, there's 12 of us. Other people, I've won more than once, which is all, like, I really just wanted to win once to make sure, but I've won twice. I'm hoping we can get the 3rd victory this week. Was it last week? No, 2 weeks ago, I went into the last night tied for the victory. So we almost got a 3rd victory. So let's try to get this last one of the season right here for week 17. And the nice thing about it is that there's it's unpredictable. These are athletes, professional athletes. They're going to go out there and play. But you got a lot of guys sitting for teams, so the spreads are kind of funky. They're all over the place, so it's a little different. And then you got a lot of teams that are playing for stuff against teams that aren't playing for stuff. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with Buccaneers, Falcons. Falcons are obviously out of the mix. They're just playing for pride, and Matt Ryan's trying to make sure they win some games and keep Atlanta alive. But keep Atlanta alive. They're not alive in the playoff hunt. I think I just meant, like, the team in the locker room, like, buzz. I don't know what I meant. Anyways, the line is 6.5. Buccaneers need to win. They do. So Tom Brady's not going to let them not. They'll win by at least a touchdown. Buccaneers it is. All right. Dolphins, Bills. This matters for the Dolphins. Doesn't matter for the Bills, really. Bills are locked in. Dolphins need to win to ensure a playoff spot. And but Buffalo's still favored. I think there is. I get confused with all the details. I was looking at a lot of the playoff stuff. The Bills might have some mobility with where they're at seeding wise, but they're in. They're locked in. They won the division. They're in the playoffs. And the Dolphins need to win to get in. Bills are favored by 4.5. I'm going with the Dolphins. Now, this is me thinking that they're going to start Fitzpatrick. I have not heard an answer yet. They should not start Tua. You owe it to the locker room. Now, I understand your franchise quarterback for the future. You want to give him playoff experience. You want to get him time. You owe it to those 50 guys in the locker room, those 50-plus guys in the locker room, those 50-plus grown-ass men. You owe it to them to give them the best chance to win and the best chance to experience the playoffs in their life. What if they never get to experience the playoffs and then you're going to say we're just giving experience to our young guy? I don't rock with that. It doesn't sit well with me, especially if I was a fan of the Dolphins. So I'm hoping that Fitzpatrick gets to play, and I'm going with the Dolphins. All right, Ravens, Bengals. Ravens also need to win, and the Bengals, well, they don't. Ravens also look like they're back. Lamar Jackson MVP form looks like he's back, particularly against bad teams. He's running everywhere. They'll win this game by 14, in my opinion. I got the Ravens. Steelers, Browns. Doesn't matter for the Steelers. Mason Rudolph is starting. They're sitting Ben. Browns need to win to ensure their spot. And that's also everything is dependent upon whoever else wins. Nonetheless, Cleveland's got to win by a touchdown. I struggled going with this because they looked so bad last week. They were missing 4 wide receivers with COVID. They've had an outbreak. But I think they're going to come through. I'm going with the Browns to win by a touchdown. Cowboys, Giants, NFC East matchup. Cowboys need to win, and they still have their playoff hopes alive. So Giants look just awful. Andy Dalton and the Cowboys looked better. I got the Cowboys. I think they're going to win. Field goal, I'm actually surprised. I thought it would have been a touchdown, but it's a field goal, so I'm going with the Cowboys. Vikings, Lions. Dalvin Cook's not playing. Unfortunately, I know he's dealing with a family tragedy. I believe his father passed away, so he's not playing. That's obviously a huge miss for the Vikings. He's one of the best running backs in the league. Sorry for his loss. Rest in peace. That's tough, especially around the holidays. But that being said, that's a huge loss for the Vikings. And the Lions look terrible. They got their ass whipped by the Buccaneers last week. But it's still a divisional matchup in the last game of the season that nobody cares about. For some reason, I feel like it's going to end up being close. I got the Lions. Patriots, Jets. Patriots are favored by 3.5. It is weird, but it's like the 3rd week in a row I think I'm betting on the Jets. I'm going to go with the Jets. I just am. And now we're going to get into the main thing for the whole weekend. You know what it is. Bears, Packers, baby. I had picked against the Bears a couple times this season. You guys saw me. I actually won one week because I did switch my pick to the Bears, or against the Bears, because I just was doing that 6-game losing streak. It was heartbreaking, guys. It was hard to deal with. But if you think, first off, let me say this. The line, Packers 5.5. That's the line. They're favored to win by 6. Less than a touchdown. Lowered it. I get it. Last time the Bears played them, the line was 8.5. And I picked the Packers because I just thought they would blow us out, and they did. Now we're talking a different story. If you think that I'm going to go with all that hype that I had before, talking about how crazy I'm going to cheer about the Bears, how I'm excited, how all this, and you think I'm just going to go back to the Packers pick, you're wrong. I'm going with the Bears. We're going Bears. I do think they're playing well enough. They're focused on the run game, and if Mitch doesn't turn it over and he doesn't make those stupid mistakes, they can keep it close at the very least, which is why that 5.5 number is not something that's like, ooh, like, if, I think they can keep it close. I mean, I think they can win. It's not, I don't know if I'm going to bet Bears money line. I'm just cheering Bears. That's all I will say about that is I'm going crazy on it, and I'm picking the Bears. I'm picking the Bears to keep this one close. Hopefully in my heart, I'm betting Bears money line. All right. Maybe it'll come to my wallet too, because I tell you what, I bet a lot with my heart over my head and tend to lose. As I did with the Bulls, I bet Bulls money line in game 1. Me and my friend are texting each other. We both bet Bulls money line. We were like, let's go. And then the Hawks beat them by fucking 40. Yeah, and I texted him right after. I was like, bet with my heart, not my mind. God damn it. All right, Raiders, Broncos. Raiders got to win by 2.5. They had a tough loss to the Dolphins last week, but that loss kept the Dolphins alive in the playoff picture. Fitz magic, baby. I'm going with the Raiders. I don't have an explanation. I'm just going with the Raiders. All right. Titans, Texans. Titans need to win for the playoffs, which is weird because they were in the AFC Championship last year and they look to be really good. Like they should just be in. But no, they got to win to ensure their playoff spot. And the Texans are getting 7.5. Last time they played, the Texans either won or it was really close. And that's the reason I'm going to pick the Texans. I think they might keep it close within that 7. I can see it being within a touchdown. I feel like they play a lot of games within a touchdown with having Deshaun. So I'm going with the Texans. Jaguars, Colts. Colts, 14.5. It's a big number. I mean, I know the Bears killed the Jaguars last week. But 14.5 is too big of a number. Colts need to win, and they'll try to do it handily. I'm sure they'll try to put them away in the first half, which makes me think then the Jaguars will come down the field and cover on the back end in the second half. I got Jags. Can't take that 14.5 number. Chargers, Chiefs. Chiefs got nothing to play for. Number 1 seed locked up. Home field locked up. Chiefs are getting 3.5, so Chargers are favored by 3.5. I got the Chargers. I think Justin Herbert's he broke the rookie record for touchdowns. He'll have a good way to finish off the season, and they'll win. They'll beat the Chiefs. Chiefs will end up 14-2. What is 14-2, 15-1? No difference. Doesn't matter to them. They won another Super Bowl. Now, this is the one that matters the most for me as a Bears fan. Cardinals versus Rams. So the Bears game is essentially a playoff game, but it's not completely win or go home because if the Cardinals lose, the Bears still make the playoffs. So we're cheering for the Rams as Bears fans. We are. Now, unfortunately, Jared Goff is not playing. Broke his thumb. He's hurt. Cooper Kupp just tested positive for COVID, is not playing. It doesn't look good. This ESPN line that I got, I think, is early in the week, so I don't know if they had all that information that I just shared with you. The Rams are favored by 1.5 on here. I am not confident that that's going to happen. Now, Kyler Murray looked banged up. The Cardinals don't look good. That being said, unfortunately, I'm going to take the Cardinals in this game, and that really makes the Bears game a must-win. So the Bears game is a playoff game, especially if the Cardinals do what I think they will. So, go Bears! Saints, Panthers, finally. Panthers are getting 6.5. I got Saints. I don't know. They're still playing some guys. They're trying to move up. They have a chance at the number 1 seed if the Bears can beat the Packers. So they're playing. I think they'll win by a touchdown. Seahawks, Niners. Seahawks can also end up 12-4, which would make the Seahawks 12-4, Saints 12-4, and then if the Bears beat the Packers would be 12-4. So that would make for some interesting movement in the top of the NFC. I'm going to go with Seattle to win this game by a touchdown. I mean, like I say, it's 5.5, but I think they'll win by more than that. So I got them. And then finally, Washington football team versus the Eagles. Washington wins and they're in. But Dwayne Haskins got cut. He's not on their team. He sucks anyways. Alex Smith's hurt. They got this other guy, Heinekens. I don't know. He's their backup. So it's one of them. We don't even know who's their starting quarterback. But it's 1.5. So it's a really close spread. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles had a nice little win streak, but then they looked bad. They looked terrible last week against the Cowboys. So with that said, I'm going with Washington. I'm going with Washington to making the playoffs. Yep, think it's gonna happen. So I got them. And then the tiebreaker this week, since there's no Monday night game, is actually the Seahawks-Niners game. And I said the Seahawks were gonna cover, so they'll win by 5.5. I got them winning 30-17. So Seahawks 30-17. That's it. That's the week 17 NFL picks. It's kind of emotional, guys. We made it throughout the whole season. Oh, shit. All right. Now I'm happy that we hit we won a couple weeks for the league, for the picks, but I started the parlay. I wanted to do a parlay of the week. I started this, I think, in week 2 or week 3 of the season. Have not hit one all season. I've won other parlays and bets like on my own, but not the one that I have given for the show yet. So come on. I'm going straight money line again because I just can't play these spreads. We just need some shit to happen. I mean, if I was playing the unders on the, whatever. Okay, I'm just going to tell you what I'm going with here, guys. Well, you know what? I'm actually going to change one of these. No, I'm not. This is it. I'm just going to go with it because it makes the odds better. All money line. I'll tell you, I have the Dolphins over the Bills money line, and that's kind of out there, and I almost just changed that to just take the Dolphins points, but I like the odds better. Well, let's see if I can find that one more time for you. We're just going to do this on here. Yeah, I mean, well, all right, so if I change it, yeah, it just changed my odds a little bit. All right, I'm actually going to do that. All right. So I got Browns money line over the Steelers. As I said, Browns are playing for something. Steelers aren't. Ravens money line over the Bengals. Easy bet, add on. Buccaneers over the Buccaneers money line over the Falcons. Dolphins plus 1.5 against the Bills. And Colts money line against the Jaguars. The Dolphins plus 1.5, I mean, the odds change. I'm just giving myself a leeway in case the Bills somehow win by 1 on like a last-second field goal or something. I don't know why that would happen, but I kind of think the Dolphins are going to win. So I lost a little on my odds. I think it went from 281 to plus 276. So, I mean, there's nothing significant on there. But, yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. So, it's a simple money line parlay. Browns, Ravens, Buccaneers, Dolphins, 1.5, Colts. That's what I'm going with. We got to get it this week. We got to get it. Let's go. Thank you guys again for tuning into my show, the David Lopez Show. I really appreciate it. I have loved being able to talk to you guys throughout this whole year, of 2020. This has been the most. This is the third full year of the podcast. I believe I started in 2017. I was not fully consistent. I was trying. I was doing a lot of episodes, but not as many as I am now, where I'm very just on the nose every week, make an episode, trying to stay consistent. So this past year of 2020, which was, a pretty tumultuous year, is by far the most episodes that I've ever recorded, the most free talking I've ever done on a microphone, and probably in a time where I really needed it, with it being such a weird time, a lot of free time. So to everybody who's listened to the show throughout 2020, to everybody who's shared words of encouragement, I've had people just tell me, just like, make sure you keep doing it. Like, even if they don't listen every week, and I know that, and I get it. Like, you don't have to listen to the show to still support me and just see my energy and just support what I got going on. So those words of encouragement mean a lot. So everybody who's listened and everybody who has taken the time to say anything to me throughout this ride, I just want to say thank you. I want to say Happy New Year's, Happy Holidays. Let's get it in 2021. I'm very optimistic about where Passion Park is headed this year. So just stay with us, stay with me, and we're going to keep this shit growing. One love. Enjoy your New Year's. Be safe, everybody. Holla.